The word settle, the word settle, I would beg the populace to stop using it. Unless you work in a courtroom, please stop using the word settle. But please stop. How do you define the word settle? Here's how I look at it. In order to settle for someone or something, you need to have at least two options. The best or less than that. So, the best or worst. To keep it simple, for all six of you watching. To keep it simple, you need to have the best or the worst option. And then because you're settling, you're choosing, in light of the best option, I'm choosing the worst option or lesser option. That's what settling is. I have the best option. Let's put it in an analogy so that everybody can get it. Go to a car lot. You have 2022 Mercedes-Benz C63. Fresh off the assembly line. And then we have my car, a 2014 Nissan Rogue. 60,000 miles on it. And you go up there with perfect credit. You go to the car lot with perfect credit. You say, I got an 850, you understand? Show me what you got. Show me what you got. I got an 850. I got an 850. Show me what you got. And they say, oh, bless you for your beautiful credit. And we're gonna hook you up. We have two cars to sell you. C63, 2022, 0 miles on it. It literally has not turned its wheel ever. The wheel has zero tread loss, 100%. And then we have this 2014 Nissan Rogue with 60,000 miles on it. It's freshly cleaned out, mind you. It was detailed by our team. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Which one do you want? The only way you could technically settle for a car is because you have an 850 and you have the choice to choose between either car. You can choose any car you want. Let's say all your paperwork is in order. You got a job, you got a job history, you got the credit score, you got the down payment, you got everything you need to walk away with either car you want. The only way you're settling is to take the Nissan Rogue because you have the option of the best car. But you chose the car with high mileage, 2014. Older. That's what settling is. The issue with settling, especially as I hear it used around, especially on social media, is that people think they can settle for a human. And think about what we just talked about. Preference, choice, free will. You cannot, and I say this absolutely, you cannot settle for a human being. It's not possible to settle for a human being without taking away their humanity. That's how serious that is. When I hear people say, I had to settle for the guy that works at the gas station. I'm like, what do you mean you settled for him? You had a choice, right? He had a choice, right? Do you have the choice of the billionaire? The issue with talking about you settle for someone is that you chose to take a lesser option. I asked the question, why would you settle for a lesser option if you had the option for the better option? If they both solve your problem, why would you take the lesser option? It doesn't make sense. If you, especially, people take terminology out of context and they say, well, I'm going to use that over here. And it's defined closely, but it's still inaccurate. It's still inaccurate. In order to settle, you need two options, one that's better than the other, and take the lesser option. If you're taking a lesser option when it comes to human, you have to acknowledge the fact that they have to want you to first. Both options. The billionaire, model, athlete person that you desire, and the person that works at the gas station. And you're like, well, I have the billionaire proposed to me yesterday, and the gas station employee proposed to me yesterday. Which one do I? Which one? Let's say you're attracted to both of them, or let's say you're not attracted to one. The point is, you have a good option that you want, and a lesser option that you just don't want as much. If you take the one that you just don't want as much, that's settling. But when it comes to humans, you don't get to do that when it comes to human because humans are not commodities. They're people with free will, with choice. Now, Let's say this. If you think you're settling requires the inability for the other option, the commodity, the person, the thing that you're choosing, the noun. Let's keep it simple. Settling requires that the noun does not have free will. That's what settling is. Settling requires that what you're choosing between, neither one has free will. So you can't settle for human, because what if they don't want you back? What if the lesser option doesn't want you back? You have a choice to make, but what if the lesser option doesn't want you back? What if the better option doesn't want you back? Humans have to be put back on the pedestal where they belong when it comes to making choices and preferences and moving forward in our lives and talk about what we desire. You have to put humans back on the pedestal where they belong. They're not commodities. You don't settle for a human. You're grateful for a human. You're grateful. Settle to reach an agreement about a problem. If your problem is not wanting to be single, but you come to an agreement with someone else to enter a relationship, then wouldn't that be settling? Not at all. Not at all. So you're right only in the sense of context, which is what is mostly missing from these conversations, is that to define a word, it has to be properly used in context. That's why I always give an analogy when I define something, because you're right in how you defined it, but it's not in terms of relationship context. I use settle in the context of making a choice between two opposing options, one being greater than the other. They're not equal. They're not the same. One's greater than the other. And in most cases, you move throughout the world like that, where you have this option and that option. And of course, a world of many options, and we'll get that to, later in the list. But in most cases, there's a better option and a good option. Especially if you're aware of them and you realize, all right, what if I have to qualify for these options? That's why I use the car analogy. In a world of choice, a lot of times you have to qualify. There's some type of qualifier when it comes to making a choice, whether it's a cost that you have to expend time in the form of cash. There's a cost to everything. So it means you have to qualify for things. Settling requires that there be a better option and a lesser option, and then you going to choose the lesser option. You're choosing lesser option. Why would you choose lesser option? That doesn't make sense to me. That someone would claim out of their mouth, I'm settling for something less than what I want, and then choose that. But you're also alluding to the fact that you had a better option that you didn't want. In the way you phrased it, if you're choosing not to be single anymore, but you think you're settling, you chose a lesser option. You think that being in any relationship is less than being single. Why would you choose a lesser option? Humans don't do that. Humans choose what benefits them. Humans choose the path of least resistance. Why would I choose to eat vegetables unless I benefit? So in a way, you chose a better option, because if being single was satisfying you, you would never leave it. It doesn't make sense that humans will say, I'm going to settle for this relationship that offers me less than being single. Why would you ever stop being single then? If single's serving you, stay single. But because you were missing something, you want to add to your current situation, you went and got it, that's an upgrade. That's not settling. So even as you defined it, Miss Leisha, it doesn't match. Because if what you had was serving you, you would not leave it. But you upgraded to something better or different. So move on from that. But yeah, settling, it's one of the worst words. I hate hearing it out of context, because people took it from a courtroom and they just adapted to it. Like, I want something and I don't want anything less. Go get it. Go get it. Why can't you just go get what you say you want? If you have the option to date a billionaire, go get that person. But hopefully they want you back, because that's the number one requirement. And it's quite obvious that if you could have them, you would have them. If you could have the most beautiful car in the world, you would have it. But you're not settling for a Dodge if you only qualify for a Dodge. Another example I use is when I joined the military. There's two options: commissioned, non-commissioned. Commissioned or enlisted. There's two paths. You're an officer or you're enlisted. I did not settle to go enlisted, which is it pays less. It's not particularly a leadership position until you get to the NCO rank. You're a follower in the most general sense. You're a follower. You follow the orders of an officer. I did not elect to settle to go enlisted. I didn't have the option to go officer. Therefore, I chose to go. I didn't even choose. You understand? If there's two options and I can't get one of them, I only have one option. That means take it or leave it. That's not settling. And it's still upgrade from the civilian, because if I was happy being civilian, I wouldn't have left it. So yeah, when it comes to making a choice, you have to have both options available to you without someone having to choose on the opposite end, which means you can't settle for a human. It has to be a commodity. It has to be a thing. And then you have to have the option to get it. You have to qualify for both as well.